Hi, friends. Welcome again. So we're picking the second part of controlling performance. So we'll be looking deeply into elements of grievance, okay, and then some other dimensions in terms of contract termination and the staff, okay. So we'll try and keep it within 30 minutes. So let me share my screen so that we kick off. Once again, it is just a summary of the main text, okay. So we are not detailing all the nitty-gritties. That is upon you, okay, to look at the nitty-gritties. All right, so let's go on. So we're dealing with grievance procedures at the workplace. Like I said, we're all coming from different backgrounds, different personalities. We are dealing with human beings at the workplace. Definitely, you wrong someone. Someone will wrong you. You might think you're always right. Someone might think it's always right. So along the line, you step on someone's feet. What happens? How do you resolve this peacefully at the workplace? So it is always important that we look at grievance procedures, okay, from the angle of protecting the employee. So in the first instance, we look at disciplinary. Disciplinary is more looking at the employer focused. The employee is veering off track. So the employer will bring him back on track, discipline them. When it's serious, they get rid of them from the workplace, okay? But when we talk of grievance, we're talking of where the employee feels badly treated, either by his colleagues or by his superior, okay? So one is a procedure for employees, grievance, and one is a procedure for employers, discipline, okay? So the purpose of the procedure in this particular scenario is grievance is to ensure that the employee is protected from what victimization or from hatred or from hurt, whether from his colleagues or from his supervisors. Okay, and the process should be made in such a way that it complies with the law, with the legal regimes. Okay, it also, once it is open, it is effective. Actually, let me use the word of effective. It helps all other employees to come out and air their grievances. We hope that they will all be genuine anyway. It helps to clear the air so that we can all work together as a family, as a team, as one group, okay? And it helps also to monitor the impact that it will have on managers, okay? At the end of the day, the procedure should include statement that will protect the rights of the employees. What documents can they see? What meetings should they attend, okay? Which areas should they not trespass, or what areas they have access to anything, okay? And then if it's necessary, if there's a trades union representative, include them in the grievance resolution procedure. And again, you should always have time limits where you have to initiate the procedure and when you have to finish. It's important to update the key stakeholders in the grievance resolution procedure every now and then always keep written records of all meetings that you've held, okay, with the person who is aggrieved or with the person who is under consideration. Like I said, make sure, statutorily, 3 things are required. That one, you must keep it in writing. There should be a first interview with either the manager. If you cannot meet the manager who is being tagged, they can go to his manager or the manager's manager, okay, and then bring the situation there. But again, if that one is also not working, then the final one is to go a step further. Referral ahead. If you have to meet the CEO, if you have to meet the vice chancellor, go there and go and resolve this thing, okay? So that's what we're looking at in this place. But it's always important that we avoid grievances at the workplace. How do we do it? Okay, how do we do it? There are procedures which we could use, okay? Now here, I want us to note one terminology we used here, that there's always a psychological contract with the employee by the employer, okay? So it is a way of trying to describe, how do I feel at the workplace as an employee? How do I feel at UWS? Do I feel at home, being loved, being accepted by the top hierarchy, okay? And how does the employer also feel about me? Does he think I'm doing my work well, discharging my duties? Am I having that peace of mind that I'm being supported from all angles where I can discharge my work? So there is always, yes, the written contract we all sign and we all agree to, but there is also the psychological contract, which actually is far more important than the written contract, because it helps you to feel at home or to feel lost in the bush, Okay, so it's always important to look at this. Now, it takes some forms, okay? So we have the calculative contract, like a calculator, like numbers, okay? Where voluntarily I accept as an employee to discharge my work. In so doing, what I'll do is that I always want to work extra. If I go the extra mile, I'm doing what is outside my scope. I expect that first I need to work within my terms and conditions as prescribed by the terms, by my contractual agreement. But if I go far and beyond, then I also expect that I should also get some time off for the extra work I've done, covering for a colleague maybe who is off sick and you've taken off over his job. You need to get some time off, some compensation, some bonus, some extra pay. Okay, that's the calculated. So where there needs to be amendments, calculating, you have to add something and subtract something and divide something and multiply by something. So where you have to divide and multiply, where you have to adjust, amend, do it so that everybody will be happy. Okay. Then we have the cooperative. Okay. The cooperative contract deals with where the employee is willing to work hard for the employer. Why? Because he shares some values in the organization. Normally happens in the workplace where the company is owned by a family. So the company is mine. UWS is my father's company. I'm there, I'm sharing the family values. So I'm working extra hard, not because I'll be paid. No, not because I'll get some money, but because I share in the values, okay? So the main thing over here is that I'm looking at the fact that I'll be involved in decision-making. At the end of the day, one day, decision-making becomes vested in me, and I take that role to also do those works, okay? And then we have the other part, which is the calculative list with greater productivity, and then cooperative, in return for higher commitment, I'll work hard. I'll be recognized that I'm also having a stake, or I'll have a say in any decisions that are undertaken. Then we have the coercive, you wouldn't like that, okay? So more or less where you are talking of reluctant acceptance by the employee, we force you to do it, no consultation, do it, take it. Okay, in that case, sometimes you get aggrieved. Okay, so these are ways that we could try and avoid these grievance procedures. Okay, in every workplace, at a point in time, you leave the scene. At a point in time, when you get to a statutory age, compulsory retirement age, it exists under every jurisdiction, right? Okay, when you look at the advisory, conciliatory, and arbitration services code, it describes retirement as where employers cannot force. It says that employers actually cannot enforce or force employees to retire, or they cannot set a retirement age unless the employer can objectively justify what the law terms as a proportionate means of achieving a legitimate aim. So if I can cause you to retire based upon the law and regulations that have been set, then I can cause you to retire. Okay. 65, you need to go. You are tired, you are weak, you cannot do anything. The law states so. So you go, okay? Now, what we have to know is that retirement comes with its benefits. It also comes with its disadvantages, okay? Because, you have these guys who have worked long in the workplace, quite technically excellent guys, okay? So what is happening here is that if they live with a lot of wealth of knowledge and wisdom and understanding, unless there's a proper succession plan which has been put in place, okay? But the good thing about retirement is that it leads to balancing the age structure of the organization so that we don't have aging population so much, so that the organizational staff will not be skewed towards the aging population. It helps us to promote the younger guys to also take up senior roles, okay, over time. It helps us to balance, and it actually leads to motivation. If I'm a young guy and I know that I can rise through the ranks quickly because someone will leave at his retirement age, what happens is that I try to understand him quickly, understand how the system is done, and I stay because I know in the next 5-10 years, I'll occupy that role as a dean, okay? It's very important. Then also we have resignation where you resign for some good reasons, okay? People resign for various reasons, a lot of reasons. Some of them are usually personal, okay? But whatever happens, it is always incumbent on every organization to keep their valuable staff, okay? If possible. In any case, whether they are leaving and you cannot get them for whatever reason, it's important to hold exit interviews. In the exit interview, they will tell you, because they are leaving, it's a dead goat. It's a dead goat. So he can tell you everything freely. There is a time when some people who are so aggrieved and they cannot come out, they just pour everything and they leave, okay? But it's important to listen. Some are very good professionally in the professional settings. They will tell you the good things which has happened, things they think you should improve upon. It's a good source of information about how people have felt over the organization, okay? And then we have redundancy. So redundancy will occur because the business has ceased to operate. No more income is flowing. Public issues or maybe political issues has caused the company to run down. Public health issues, COVID has caused a lot of companies to go blank, and energy crisis causing companies to shut down, okay? So redundancy is real, it happens. In that case, some people will have to leave the jobs. When there's a merging and acquisition, it also happens to get some people who will be redundant. It's a legal requirement that once you lay them off, you make them redundant, you compensate them because there's a severance, okay? So it's always important that we look at our package, a compensation package. Would they accept it? Is it reasonable? You have to bargain with them, okay? What about employees who are over the pensionable age? Normally, they are the first to go. Or those who have not been doing so much work, who are poor in terms of performance, they are the first to also go. Part-time workers are also the first to be affected. And also people who just came in fresh and they have not really contributed significantly to the growth of the company. Redundancy, they are the first to leave. They are the first to be affected again. Again, when you are the type of person who is conducting yourself untoward in terms of, let's say you conducting yourself negatively in all activities of the organization, you'll be kicked out when it comes to such situations, okay? Conduct merits dismissal without notice. Sometimes, like I say, your conduct merits that they sack you without notice. It's for a form of redundancy, okay? All right, now let's talk of dismissal. It's a very dicey situation. You know, sometimes we think dismissal is where we wrongfully sack you from the workplace, okay? But it is not the case. Sometimes people dismiss people for good reasons and for bad reasons, okay? It is always important that you dismiss people based on the law, else they'll pick you on. I remember I worked at one of, I will not mention the name of the organization. It's a fixed contract, and then after 2 years, they said, we want to end your contract. We will not renew it because the contract clearly states that it will be renewable based on satisfactory performance. Now, they told me clearly that, listen, this is a letter, but we know you are technically okay, but for this reason, you are not working in our own interest. Okay, that's what they said. They said, you are not working in our interest. So we will not renew the contract, which is totally illegal. I could have picked them on, taken them to the law courts, but man, sometimes people leave it up. So let's life continue, okay? So termination of a contract by the employer is always what we consider as dismissal, okay? Where you have fixed contract is not renewed, it's also considered dismissal. But like I said, it could be for the wrongful reasons, unfair if we don't do it correctly, in which case people could pick us on, okay? And employers should have a very good reason why they are not renewing a fixed term contract. Maybe they don't have cash, again, to continue the project. You are doing well, but we don't have the cash, we don't have the funds. If it's a project, normally you see this in the NGOs where they are funded. When the funding is not coming, they can terminate, ask you to leave, okay? Make you redundant, okay? And there could be other reasons. Employee returning from maternity leave and you come and maybe someone has taken your role. Sometimes they think you've extended your maternity leave without recourse to any legal backing, okay? And again, we also have resignation by employees where the employer has breached the contract. So I'm working with you, telling me that you'll be paying me this amount and you breach the contract. You're asking me to work extra when you know that's not what we agree. I resign. Okay, that is also seen as a form of dismissal. Okay, it's actually wrongful dismissal if proven, because on the part of the employer, he has breached his portion or his part of the bargain. And again, in the area of unfair dismissal, it is always important for the employer to prove that it is fair. Give some good reasons. Maybe the role is no longer important. Maybe there's a legal impediment for you to proceed with your work. If there is non-capability, the person is not performing as required, show the correct procedure, ensure that you have followed the correct procedure, okay? And maybe he's been misconducting himself continuously. He's been warned, disciplined, but still he's continuing. You got to get rid of him, okay? And any other reason, like I'm saying, no funding to proceed with the project, okay? Now, unfair dismissal will be automatically considered. A dismissal will be considered automatically unfair if, one, there is an unfair selection of candidates for redundancy. So, because you hate me and there's time for redundancy, I'm the first you pick. Because I'm always challenging the status quo, I'm always challenging management, I'm the first to go for no reason, okay? When again, maybe you are a part of a trade union, normally they see them as those guys who urge the masses to revolt. They'll clear you. It happens in real life. Sometimes people are cleared because of pregnancy. Sometimes they ask you not to marry. You marry, and it will affect the field work. They get rid of you, okay? And again, it will be unfair if it is based on racial issues, cultural background, color of the skin, any other element which is not legally justified. Okay, health and safety rules, you get rid of this person. Sometimes people want to see documentary evidence of their pay slips, their particulars. What have you keyed in the system? And based on that, they are dismissed. It's unfair, okay? If the dismissal is unfair, and it is proven to be unfair, there are three options that organization can take. One, they have to reinstate the person to his old role. So I'm an accountant, you dismiss me unfairly. If it is proven legally, you have to reinstate me to my accounting role. Sometimes people are not interested in that. They say, listen, I can't come back to this company. So the second option is that they take compensation. It's the happiest outcome. Pay me and I leave. I don't want to work with you again. But there is a third option, which is re-engagement. So re-engagement, you re-engage a person, but in a different role. Okay, so there are there's a difference between reinstatement, where you reinstate him to his original role, and re-engagement, where you re-engage him to a different role, okay? And then compensation is also the most. Okay, so I think I've skipped, all right. Okay, then let's look at the equal legislation and then diversity, and then we'll wrap up on that one. So you can see almost every organization will have on their adverts, when they are advertising for roles, you see UWS is an equal opportunities employer, okay? So we always work with this under the Equality Act of 2012, which brought together many pieces of legislation to ensure that people are protected. Okay, legally, you want to ensure that you are protected at the workplace. Then it covers your sex, your sexual orientation or your gender, your religious belief or spiritual orientation, whatever, what you're thinking of, okay? Your race, pregnancy, maternity, any civil and marriage partnership, gender reassignment, disability and age should not be used to discriminate against you in terms of hiring you, in terms of retaining you, in terms of promoting you, in terms of dismissing you. They shouldn't use these ones as a basis. It should come based on some fair, legitimate grounds, okay? Now, approach to the management of people at work is very important, based on equal, fair treatment. So that's what the EU, the equal opportunities legislation is saying, that let's treat everyone equally, okay? Treat them equally. Inequalities with no relevance to work performance are the targets of these policies. Inequalities, okay? The fact that I'm Black and you're white doesn't make one person superior than the other. We all matter, okay? So explicitly, this has been stated in law. Okay, my English is not coming. So clearly, this has been stated in law, okay? Now, why do employers embrace the Equal Opportunities Act? Business ethics, okay? Business ethics, ethical reasons that it is the right thing to do. Okay, it's the right thing to do. Basis of ethics, okay? The second point is because of the public image that you want to gather. You want to be sure that you are running your organization in the interest of everyone. You want everyone to see that you are a good equal opportunities employer. So for the purposes of sustainability, people also run the EU policies. Again, there's a business case. When we get diverse workforces, we think we are actually gathering from a large pool of capable hands, okay? So you have the black, you have the white, you have the anyone, talk of them, different gender, male, female, blended together, people with experience in all aspects of life, demographics, bring them together. And at the end of the day, realize that you are picking a lot of, in terms of expertise when it comes to problem solving. And what it has been noted is that it helps us to possibly draw on this pool of talent to solve workplace objectives, okay, or issues. There are times of discrimination which occurs at the workplace, okay. Still, we're building on the equal opportunities, okay. We have the direct one. You're treating one person where the treatment of one interested group less favorably than the other. So directly, you are telling me you hate me, you don't like me, okay. Then we have the indirect. That one, you don't actually see it, okay. On paper, it looks fair, but in reality, it is not fair, okay. For example, you try to advertise the job advert in some outlets where only some few people will see. Okay, you intentionally post it on a setting online where only a few people will see. Not everyone will see, okay? So that's an indirect form of discrimination. Then we have victimization, in which case where you penalize someone for giving information or taking action in pursuit of a claim of discrimination. So because I picked you up and reported you to the trade union, you know I'm the one who did it. You actually target me and victimize me, okay? That's victimization. Then we have, of course, what we all know, workplace harassment. You could use verbal abuse, verbal harassment, sending terrible messages to your colleagues, okay? Intimidating them using offensive, abusive language is not allowed, okay? Sometimes it could be sexually oriented. It is not allowed, okay? And it's covered by the UK laws. You know, it covers areas of race, religious beliefs, sexual orientation. So harassment is also a form of discrimination at the workplace, which should not be allowed, okay? So that's it. I'll leave it that way. Then there are areas of focus when we come to the elements of equal opportunities, okay? And what we are all saying here is that it should be documented as an internal policy, which should guide our practice of recruiting employees, retaining, promoting, okay, even demoting anyone, which happens, okay? And again, more recently, there's been some additions in areas of childcare and flexible working initiatives. And it says that we should include this in the equal opportunities, okay? Now, the list of things required for an effective equal opportunities policy is similar to that of internal controls. Any effective internal controls will help ensure that the organization does not waste resources, but will be able to achieve their objectives. And the main thing with internal control is that the tone at the top should support it. The same way in this scenario of equal opportunities, tone at the top is important, support from the top. They must buy into it like they are buying into any internal control activity or internal control functions, processes, they want to buy into it, okay? Now, again, what they should be doing most importantly is to work with action plans and resources and monitor it to be sure that it is actually implemented effectively. Is it just on paper or are we really doing it, okay? Then again, look out for recruitment and advertising. Make sure that your recruitment process is fair. Advertise in outlets where everyone can find or access it. Structured application forms in such a way that everyone can easily understand and apply. It shouldn't be such a way that just a few people understand what to key in into which areas. Otherwise, you realize that somebody takes the application form and is totally lost. He doesn't know where to start filling the forms from, in which case you use that to disqualify them. The interview questions should be objective, quite objective, not tilted towards one person's orientation. So today, you can see that there are things which have been cut off in interviews where they start with an icebreaker. Tell us about yourself. Okay, when you are not careful, you start, tell us about yourself. You may end up talking about your sexual orientation, your belief system, and somebody may not be happy with that because maybe the person has a different ideology, okay? So it's very important that the interview questions start on an objective note, okay? Once again, today you realize that people, on their CVs, they will put their hobbies, their interests. They see that somebody will say, I'm a literature evangelist, I'm a Christian, mentioning the name of the church. I'm a Seventh-day Adventist Christian. And somebody sitting on the panel may not like you because of your church, because you're a Seventh-day Adventist Christian or a Catholic or a Methodist. Okay, that alone can just give you up, okay? So be careful what you keep on your CVs. It can cause you to lose your job. You may not know who is sitting there. We shouldn't deceive ourselves that discrimination is not there. It's, yes, the legal system, the legislative instruments are prohibiting that act from happening, discrimination, but it happens. It happens, okay? It happens. So we should always look out for that, okay? Again, personality and psychometric tests currently have been shown to favor the whites, the male candidates, okay? So it is always seen to be favoring a few group of people where you are going to write some big grammar. Who knows them? Only the few who knows, okay? All right, so we also want to move on to look at elements of promotion, okay? Promotion is also another area of focus, and public sector firms, and again, the stock market, the listed companies on the stock market, they will normally publish on the diversity of their management and senior staff positions. And the public sector in particular will put more emphasis to improve their statistics to show that we have blacks, we have women, we have this. They just want to show that they are an equal opportunities, okay, employer. So some of these elements will cover almost everything. Sometimes they want to even bring in elements of the child care, flexible working from home, okay, and giving people time off just to ensure that we are speaking the same language of fairness at the workplace, okay, fairness at the workplace. So it's very important to take note of all of this and apply them in the workplaces, okay. All right, I will move on from this side and look at diversity. Diversity and equal opportunities work hand in hand, but they are not the same, okay. They are not the same. It goes actually beyond equal opportunities, okay. Now, when we talk of equal opportunities, we are looking at more of legal compliance, but diversity looks at the style, the personality. It includes even the person's attitudes towards elements like watching TV shows, music, what the kind of books and music he likes, okay? So one of the key elements of facets is that it looks at people individually rather than the group, okay? Individual, who are you? What kind of working style are you bringing up? Your personality, your individual needs, okay? So the individual than the group. So here, talking of individual differences, the family structures and responsibilities that this person has, his ethnic background, okay? And then looking at the aging workforces, diverse career aspirations and working patterns. I attended an interview, and then I was asked, 5 years from now, what do you want to be? So I want to become the regional director of audit. And the regional director of audit was sitting on the panel, looked at me carefully, and he said, that is when I'm dead. Okay. And automatically he told me that answer alone disqualified me from getting that job. That answer alone that I gave disqualified. He later told me. So that's where we are looking at diversity at the individual rather than the group. That's my aspiration. So sometimes your individual aspirations alone can give you up. Okay. So diversity it works hand in hand with equal opportunities anyway. And I think the accumulation of diversity would give us the equal opportunities somehow, but they work hand in hand. And it was always arguable. We don't know which one is which. Finally, let's wrap up. So the difference between diversity and equal opportunities. So diversity is talking of maximizing potential of individuals, which leads to the group maximization of the group potential. It's relevant to all employees, though the focus is on individual, but cumulatively, it leads to all employees. And it is more of a managerial role and does not rely on proactive action. Equal opportunities talk of let's clear off all discrimination. Okay, issue for disadvantaged groups. Let's see how we can protect their interests so that we can get them feel at home at the workplace. It's a human resource role, not a managerial role. Okay, and it's relies on proactive action. Look ahead, proactive action. Okay, that is it for now. And I think we will keep it here. Again, this one went into 30 minutes and we'll end here. So I'll see you friends in the next session. And all the best. Bye for now.